Hey guys, today I'll be checking out Americans visiting Europe in 2026. What's actually changed? This is a video recommended by Peter, and I'm excited to check this out. Let's get into this.
So, have you been postponing the booking of your dream European vacation, not because
Yeah,
not because of money or not because of the lack of time, but because you're worried about how you're going to be received when you get here to Europe?
yeah,
Well, I mean, that's not a crazy question, and a lot of
really.
people from the United States are kind of wondering that right now. Um, am I wanted in Europe? Can I make that vacation? So all of a sudden, that dream vacation seemed a little bit uncertain, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
we're Americans living in Europe, living in Germany, and we've even asked ourselves that same question a couple times over the last few years. Um, Something happens and we kind of say, what are people going to think bad of us because we're from the United States? And
Same
that's a big question.
question.
So we want to talk about that, and not through social media, not through news clips or something like that. We want to discuss that with you with what we actually experience here on the ground living in Germany right
That
now.
would be
All right,
nice.
so I want to share something with you that we experienced fairly recently. So, on a recent travels,
It's
we met
beautiful
someone
there.
that we hope we're going to maintain a connection with this person for many years to come. Right. So during our time together, they were telling us that recently they had to completely change their travel plans.
I gotta have to stop the video because I just want to say that it looks so beautiful over there. Is that a flowers farm or something? It just looks so beautiful and so colorful, like just my type of nature. Like I love nature a lot and it's just super calming. So I gotta stop and say this.
Directly because of action that was taken by the United States government. So we're like, wow, and I'm kind of thinking like, wow, so what do they think about us? Are they going to blame that on
Yeah.
us? So I thought about it and I actually mentioned it. I was like, wow, I hope you don't hold that against us. And and they were very quick to respond. They looked at us and he was kind of like, why would I blame that on you? You had nothing to do with that. That was the action
Yeah,
of the government.
that's
And
right.
so, that brings to mind a key point, something that we've experienced time and time again while traveling here in Europe. So, Europeans and Germans, or Germans and Europeans in general, I think, they don't see you as being from the United States or being a representative of the United States. They
That's
see
good.
you for you, and they judge you on how you act, what you do, and how you treat other people. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of a big difference between us as Americans from the United States. We tend to have a bad habit of judging people based upon where they're from. And I'll give you, a couple of examples. I'm sure you've heard
That
people
is
say, "Oh,
true.
everyone from California, everyone from the West Coast, they're just a liberal fruitcake, right?" Or they might say, everybody from Texas or everybody from the South, they're just a bunch of ignorant rednecks or whatever. Now, of course, neither one of those statements are
Yeah.
true, but we kind of have a tendency to judge people based upon where they're from. And I feel like Europeans, especially Germans, don't do that. Now, that doesn't
That is so
mean
good.
that
That is really good to know. And yeah, he's so true that there's a lot of Americans that the ones that support Trump's are crazy. Like they just believe on everything and then they judge people and then I don't know, they just love him a lot that they become ignorant. That's the truth. Yikes. And I just wanted to say that I just heard that there's bombing again, like it's back. The bombing is back in Middle East. And that means that flights are gonna be going crazy. I just look at the flights to Germany and it went up 200 bucks already. Like it's already a lot of money. That's crazy. I really hope that the war is gonna be over so that everything would go normal again. Like, it's just crazy. I don't know why he loves to do that. It's crazy. Normal people just want peace, you know. And yeah, I think rich people just love to be greedy.
There aren't opinions about the United States or the U.S. government, because there certainly are, and a lot of people, don't really hold the U.S. government in high regards right now. It's no secret um, that Donald Trump is not looked upon very favorably in many parts of Europe. Um, but all of these thoughts, they tend to be, about the government or about politics. They're not about you. So we've had conversations with people who've shared their strong disagreement with
Yeah.
current US policies with us, but they've been nothing but kind to us. At the end of the day, we've had a great time with them, but they just have disagreements with our government right now. And we've also
Yikes.
met a few people here in Germany that actually like Donald Trump and they like his policies, but those
Really?
people are kind of in the minority, but they do exist. So it's different. Everyone has a different opinion. So it's nuanced. It's not black and white. Just like the people back home, everybody's a little bit different. Everybody
Yeah,
sees things differently,
that's
and
true.
it's no different here in Germany or throughout the rest of Europe. All right. So if you're from the United States and you're wondering, will I be welcome in Europe? The honest answer is yes,
Thank God.
but a lot of that
What's
depends on how
bad?
you show up. If you come in and you're respectful, open minded, and
I
curious,
am.
you will almost always be greeted with that same energy. But if you come in confrontational, loud, trying to prove a point, and maybe wearing an angry red hat, then you might be greeted totally differently. All right, now I want to shift gears a little.
Yeah, that is so true. Like, if tourists is so annoying, everyone would hate that person. And yeah, I agree with that. Good thing I am very nice, maybe. Yeah, I am not that type. Like, I just mind my own business, and then I love being respectful because I do not want some enemies. So yeah, and I also hate those people who are so loud and being so annoying. Like, when I was in Australia, we went to this famous tourist spot, and then there's like a lot of peoples there too. I think they're mostly Europeans tourists. And then there's this couple. They are in that spot where we have to take a picture, and then there's this British guy. I think he's British because of his accent. I'm not sure. And he was like, "Hey mate, can you move around because I don't want you to be in the background." And the guy said, "That's okay. You can you can just take a picture and I can just be in the background." And then the guy was so pissed. And I totally get it because you come all the way there, pay a lot of money, and then there's just ignorant people that's that is so annoying in the background. So this guy was like, "I didn't came all the way here, pay $20,000 just for you to ruin my trip." So yeah, like, everyone agreed with him. Those tourists was so annoying, and they're loud too. And there's even a sign on the side that you cannot go over there, and they went. I don't know if they're famous or not, but they're so annoying. I don't know how people do that. Like, I don't get it. I myself do not like attention, so I can do stuff like that. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. There's really crazy people around.
Little bit and talk about something else, and that's about the tourism protests. So you've probably seen the clips on social media or the news, big crowds in cities like Barcelona, Amsterdam, Venice, people holding
Really?
up signs, pushing back against tourists, and
Never
sometimes
seen
even
this.
shooting them with water pistols, right? And so that might bring up the question, so are any
Tourism is
tourists
killing
welcome in
Barcelona.
Europe
Oh,
right now?
oh.
And our experience from living here and traveling pretty extensively throughout the continent, we haven't seen any of those protests. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't happen, because they absolutely do. But the thing you got to keep in mind is they're probably not, they're more localized, and they're likely not as constant as the news or social media may lead you to believe, right? And what are the people protesting against? Well, they're not protesting against you as the individual traveler, but they're protesting against over tourism. All right. So in many
Okay.
European cities, tourism is a big part of the local economy. I mean, people depend on it for
Yeah.
their livelihoods. So they don't
Yes.
want it to go away, but they do want it to be sustainable. Now, one of the biggest problems with over tourism is the cruise industry. Now, we've taken a few cruises, so I'm not pointing fingers at anyone or judging anyone, but you think about it, when a cruise ship docks, thousands of people leave the ship and
This
head
is so
into the
true.
city, right?
Yeah.
And they stay
Uh
there for
huh.
maybe a few hours. Maybe they buy a meal, or maybe they buy a few souvenirs, and then they're back on the boat, and that's it, right? They really contribute little to the local economy, and many small businesses don't benefit at all from the cruise industry. But while they're there, they put a huge strain on the local infrastructure. The cities are crowded and it's
It
hard to get
is.
around. I mean, we've been in some
Makes
cities
sense.
when cruise ships came in, and you know, I wanted to join the locals in protesting tourism, because that's just how crowded and crazy it can be when the cruise ships come into town. Or another issue tied to
Yeah.
over tourism is short-term rentals like Airbnb and things like that. So these it can make it extremely difficult for locals to be able to afford living in their city. So an apartment that maybe locals used to live in are now open for tourism. And this might be a good thing for travelers looking for a place to stay, but it can oftentimes price out the locals, and they can't even afford to live in their city. And so some cities have taken action to regulate this and kind of uh, force out Airbnb type rentals. Um, and ultimately, I'm happy to see some control over this, because at the end of the day, you don't want to go somewhere where
Yes.
no locals live, right? You don't want to be in a place and you're surrounded by only tourists, because the
Mm-hmm.
people, when you go somewhere, it's the people, not just the monuments, not just the history or the buildings and things like that, but the people make places unique. And if they can't afford to live there, then you're really going to lose a lot of what makes a place special. All right, now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I totally agree with him. You're like ruining the neighborhood or something. Yeah, Airbnb is nice, but I think it would be easier if you just get hotels and stuff. That'll be easier. I want to experience hostels, but I don't want to share room with someone else. So hotels would be good.
Now I want to talk about something different, and that's money. Because if everything else feels good, you're confident that you're going to be welcomed, your budget may feel a little bit different than it has in years past, especially if you're from the United States.
Oh,
Um, the US dollar has weakened significantly against the euro for the last couple of
no.
years. So right now, it's
No.
roughly about one US dollar will buy you about 85 euro cents. So if you go out
It
to
just
eat
sense.
and you're going to pay 100 euros for a meal, that's going to cost you about $118. Now, 2 years ago, that same
This is
100
so
euro meal would have cost
sad.
about $106. So the exchange rate has gotten bad for those of you from the United States. And when you combine that with the
That is so messed
inflation
up.
around Europe, then it can really take a bite out of your budget. So, what can you do
Ouch.
about the increase in prices? So, a couple of strategies we have. So, number one, is we tend to avoid the big name tourist destinations, at least some
Yeah,
of the
that's
time,
good.
right? Some
Yeah.
of them you want to see, but as much as possible, we ignore the big name places. Like, for example, instead of going and paying almost 20 euros to sit around and drink a beer with a bunch of other tourists at the Oktoberfest in Munich, maybe find um, a nice fest at a small Bavarian town or village somewhere. Um, it's probably going to save you a lot of money, and you're going to meet more
Oh,
locals and have a more authentic experience, right?
this is a really good tip. I am taking this tip. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a lot of money if I ever made it to Germany. Like, I already look at it, and then I was so pissed because yesterday when I looked, the prices went up because of the bombing. This is just so annoying. I'm so annoyed. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, I really want to go so bad. I really hope. Please, please pray. If you guys pray, I'm really praying that this war is gonna be over. I need a vacation so bad.
And, you know, Bavaria is not the only region of Germany, and Oktoberfest is certainly not the only festival. You can go to other places. For example, Saxony or Thuringen, beautiful areas with beautiful cities like Erfurt, Dresden, Leipzig. And the
Oh,
costs there are going to be almost always a lot lower than what you're going to pay in Bavaria. All right, and some of our favorite travel experiences have been, for example, going to a village that we'd never heard of in Tuscany just by chance. We wound up there, or running into
Tuscany.
an alpine festival at a small town in Austria. These weren't big name places, and we weren't even planning on going there. We just got there by chance, but they wound up being some of our favorite travel memories of all time. So sometimes the smaller places are much better, actually, and cheaper and more authentic than the big city experiences are. And another tip to help you save money is to avoid coming during the peak tourism season, right? So
When
if
is
you
that?
can, come during the shoulder season or maybe even the complete off season. And this will often get you two big benefits. It'll save you money, and you'll avoid a
That
lot of the
makes sense, I
crowds.
guess.
So one of our favorite trips of all time was we went to Rome in the middle of the winter. Now it was a little bit chilly, but it kind of felt like we had the city all to ourselves. It was us and the locals, and we loved it. We had an absolutely great time. Now, that was several years ago, so I can't say. I'm pretty sure Rome is probably a little bit busier in the middle of winter now than it was then, but it's still nothing compared to what it is during the peak tourism season. All right, and sometimes you just have to ignore travel advice you receive from people. So we were told once to just completely avoid Bari in southern Italy. Right? They said there's not much to see there, and you're really just kind of
Really?
waste your time. Well, we went anyway,
That's
and we had a
cool.
great time. We thought it was outstanding. And now Bari is one of our favorite cities, and Puglia
Oh
is
man,
actually our
that's
favorite
cool.
region in all of Italy. All right, so look at your trip a little bit differently, not just a checklist of must see places to visit or to get that great Instagram picture, but as a place to really experience. And uh, you know, a couple things will happen. You'll likely spend less money, you'll deal with fewer crowds, and you'll actually have a connection with the people and the place you're visiting. And that's kind of what
Yeah.
travel's all about, isn't it? All right, so feeling welcome when you travel.
Yeah, that's another good tip. Not going on the peak season. Prices are definitely gonna be so high. Like, they really take advantage of people's money. Like, it's crazy. And yeah, I've heard Italy and Rome is also cool. I also wanna visit there one day.
Travel, it's not really about where you're from, it's how you travel. Are you curious? Do you engage with the local community? Are you wanting to learn something? And if you're willing to step just a little bit off the beaten path, then you're not just another tourist. You're a visitor who's there to really enjoy the culture, to enjoy the beauty of
Yep.
the place. And that's when you're going
Mm-hmm.
to be appreciated as a traveler. All right, so in our experience, that's when Europe or travel or anywhere really opens up to you, when you take the time to really appreciate what it has to offer. So, if you're an American or anywhere or from anywhere, and you're wondering if you should visit Europe in 2026, um, don't let social media dictate where you make up your mind for you. Don't let what you see on the news make the decision for you.
Yeah.
Come visit Europe, see it, and experience it for yourself. And I think if you come with an open mind, you're going to find that you're a lot more welcome here than you thought you may have been in the first place. All right. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us.
That was a really good video, and this guy explains it really well. Like, there's a lot of fake news in social medias right now, and sometimes we're like, "Oh, is this real?" So we kind of panic, but then it's just all AI videos all over, and it's so annoying. There's just people who love to spread fake news, and yeah, I'm not gonna believe in those. I'm not gonna let them dictate if I'm going to Europe in 2026 this year. I just wish the war is gonna be over. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.